KnoItAllz listeners, everybody, thanks for tapping into a quick Saturday discussion with the JAG2G guys. You got myself, the homie Tate in the building. You got my fellas with me, the geniuses, my boy Rory and Stephen in the building. We're here just to talk about a few things, that kind of came up this week as far as the sports world outside the games. But real quick, why don't we talk about the games real quick? Rory, your NFL team. I won't talk about the high school team you coach. We'll leave that alone.
Okay.
Let's talk about the LA Rams, man. They're looking good.
They do look good, and they're playing the 49ers.
Matt Stafford, is there a fountain of youth out there in LA or something?
Man, just don't get hit. Just don't get hit.
Hey, that's how you gotta look at the game. You got an old quarterback.
Yeah,
trust me, I know.
Stafford's not afraid to throw the ball away.
Quick release.
Nah, he looks really good, man. I mean,
he does.
Right now. What'd you say?
Got hurt in that last week.
Who got hurt?
Just don't worry about it. I'm hoping that he's gonna be okay. They say he's fine.
Oh, who though? I didn't hear you.
Puka.
Oh, Puka. Okay.
Puka's that's becoming his marker, isn't it? Injury prone. That's kind of becoming the thing that defines him now.
Wide receivers get hit.
I mean, he's a beast. I'm saying that, but you don't want as a premier guy, you don't want injury prone to be your marker. That's what happened to OBJ.
Happened to Cooper Kupp too. Cooper Kupp was injury prone.
Cooper Kupp had a pretty long career before he started.
He had a 5-night window though when he was really good.
Yeah,
like
that's
4
true.
years.
Yeah, he was. Yeah.
But Puka, man, from the wide receiver position. And just thinking off the top of my head, we'll talk about this guy later. Obviously, we're talking about mental health. But Puka has to be the best late round receiver since AB, man. He went in the fifth round. For the production you get for that pick.
Yeah, for a guy who's easily a number one receiver.
Cooper Kupp went in the same. I think he went like fifth round. Cooper.
Yeah, I think
Puka is better.
So the Rams are good.
When Puka is healthy, he's a better receiver than Cooper Kupp was, man.
I don't know about that.
That's respect to Cooper Kupp. Cooper Kupp was a beast, but Puka can do it all. He stretched the field. He can go across the middle and possess the ball. He can yak. He's a monster, man.
What do they call it? The Triple Crown? Cooper got the Triple Crown like Jamar Chase just did last year.
He did.
Yards, touchdowns, and receptions.
Yeah.
Puka hasn't done that yet. Is he capable? I know he's a highly targeted, high volume catch guy.
He got to stay healthy. Because you don't
that
know.
Would help a lot.
Because if the Rams were to ever move off of Stafford and try to say, okay, we got to draft and go younger, that would immediately hurt his production. I think going from a guy who probably is going to go to the Hall of Fame to a rookie. You're not gonna get a lot of opportunities for those 3,000 yards. Yeah, for those.
Rams already have their guy in reserve. Stetson Bennett. Yeah,
okay, all right.
He's there. He's had some mental issues. He had alcoholism. He's had some but the Rams have some stability. What's that?
You think he's the heir? He's the heir to.
He is the heir.
Wow.
The Rams, franchise,
I think they bring in another guy to compete though. I don't think they're just gonna give it to him.
Yeah, I don't
think they can give it to him, but they're gonna have to have. Once again, if McVay is there, McVay's gonna have at least two people.
Oh yeah, I would trust McVay, especially on the offensive side of the ball. Yeah.
Yeah, McVay's gonna have another person there, but right now I think he believes in Stetson. So I assume that Stetson's gonna be the heir to the QB1 throne. We'll find out.
Steven. This week, your Cowboys took an L. Sadly, they lost one of their players. I'll let you talk about the game first, and talk about the situation with the young man that passed away.
So the game is sad because the guy who passed away actually had a monster play in the game. He looked great. He's a player who blocked the punt early and returned it for a touchdown. Marshawn Nealon. The game, unfortunately, did not go our way. The defense kind of got rolled on again. Brissett went ham on us, and our offense was not able to get anything started. against what is trying to establish itself as a pretty stingy defense in the Arizona Cardinals. I think that they're playing a lot better now that they have, in my opinion, some stability on their offense because Brissett, I like Brissett. I always have. I think they're getting more consistency. Yeah, to get more consistency out of the offense, there's less mistakes, so the defense is getting a chance to flex. As far as the Cowboys are, we got active in the trade market and right after the game.
Yes, you did.
Trade. I support the trade. I think I would have liked it if they had tried to get that done during the draft or before the season started because I like the player, and I think we may have overpaid a bit to get him. But I mean, it leads into what we're talking about today. Unfortunately, shortly after that happened, the Cowboys had the same player who had a big defensive play in the Cardinals game pass away to a suicide after what is apparently a police pursuit that ended in a crash that he fled from. From what I understand, from what seems to be the most consistent story is that after getting on foot and fleeing from the accident, he texted some of his family and friends goodbye, and then the police found him later with a self-inflicted gunshot wound. Unfortunately, we don't know a lot else beyond that in this story. I don't know any source that was saying why this pursuit started, what the cause was. There's not a lot of information about him having any kind of issues between Monday night and this incident happening. Most of the players, all his teammates seem to be saying they're shocked. But it does bring up a really interesting conversation about football and mental health and the fact that NFL players seem to have these suicidal tendencies. And I really want to talk about what we think, specifically with the NFL, what we think the root causes are, how it pertains to other sports, because the NFL is not the only sport that has players that have had some pretty serious mental health issues. Specifically in the NFL, I think the most famous case that we have of like a player committing suicide is probably Dave Duverson. He was a former Chicago Bears safety. And he is the player that most people confuse Junior Seau's story with. Junior Seau is another defensive player. He was a longtime Charger who also committed suicide. And most people confuse these two player stories. Dave Duverson committed suicide in 2011. What's that?
Pump your brakes, bro. We're gonna get into all that. We wanna just do a couple more things.
Okay.
Let's shout out the live chat real quick. Some of the folks that are here. Pickens, you big dummy. What up, fam? What's up, man? Jaime. Yo. What up, man?
What's going
shout
on,
out to you. Mental disability has been the topic of the week, the week mostly. But yeah, you're definitely right. Chat General Afton. I have to see you later on this evening.
Afton?
Well, you guys know Afton does the Steeler post game with us. So check it out tonight.
Definitely check it out tonight.
Yeah, she's always here. She's very knowledgeable as far as football goes. I'm sure as far as life goes with a lot of her comments and discussion last week. I know she's a very
and she's always hard on the offensive line of the Pittsburgh Steelers for some strange reason. Always hard on them. Go easy on them. Just one time.
They have a good offensive line too. They got an old man quarterback. Like, what do you? I'll give
him a C.
They're young. You got 2 first-round tackles. You got a second-round center. You got a 4th-round guard. And nobody's played more than 3 years except one player on the line.
With the youth you guys have, you have to be happy with how they're playing.
Yeah, they're developing. I read something about that today. Through 8 games, we're 5-3. Through 8 games, they're starting developing, and in the future, with that amount of draft capital, they should be a strength. But we're getting off track again.
Okay.
We are.
Brent Howell, what's up? Thanks for tapping in. Hope I didn't miss anybody. But yeah, so lastly, before we switch it over, so we talked to when did we talk? A couple weeks ago. Because was it last week? We talked about sports gambling a couple weeks ago. Right? And in the NFL, and we kind of hypocrisy, right? We we wonder why there's all this dirty money going around, gambling and stuff like that, and how an athlete could get involved in this, right? I mean, I've been paying a lot more attention lately. When I'm looking at a lot of these ads, these FanDuel, these DraftKings, all this stuff, they're all advertising endorsed by NBA players and not just ex-NBA players. Yeah, no.
Current NBA active players advertise this stuff.
Yeah.
And it's more NBA players than I see other sports.
For sure.
I'll say that. But in football this week, he reported New York Giants kicker Graham Gano said he's got death threats.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, that's how deep these people are getting mad that he's costing them money, they feel like, you know. So I got this small clip from Graham Gano I want to play, then we can just talk about that briefly because there's not a lot to it. I mean, I think we know from January 6th a few years ago, people are just will do anything when they're passionate and just like, so we've had other people get death threats, but a kicker in football, let's hear what he had to say.
Since sports betting started happening, I get people telling me to kill myself every week, and you know, because I'll hit a kick that loses them money, I'll miss a kick and it loses them money. It was the other day somebody told me to get cancer and die. So I mean that stuff's part of it, but just being like playing this long, that stuff you're used to it by now. So
isn't that kind of harsh for you guys, man?
No,
Yes.
It's harsh, but that's not you know the non-normal. That's the normal thing now. I'm surprised that he's complaining about it because if you read
when the NFL
he said that's part of it though.
Yeah, I mean,
when they got in bed with these companies and took this money, this is what you sign up for. It's no different from when those avenues of revenue were mostly mob tied and illicit. You know, it's just the difference now is that there's no the pressure on these players is not coming from the people. It's not like illegitimate pressure to do illegal things. It's the people participating in the gambling upset that they lost. You know what I mean? To me, it's just people not being adults. You have to be okay if you're willing to gamble your money, you have to be okay with losing it. You know what I mean? And if you're gambling on a person doing something, well, you know, sometimes people disappoint you. It's not their fault that you lost your money. It's your fault for gambling. I think it's insane, but I'm with Rory. I understand why people. I understand it. It's not rational to me, but I understand it.
Well, wait. I don't condone it or say.
No. I'm not condoning it either. It's insane to me. Yeah, it's crazy.
I'm just saying that nowadays, I've seen articles about this where players are normally getting death threats. Whereas there's some NBA players who are paying people $1 on Venmo, you know what I mean? Like, hey, I'm sorry, I didn't make the parlay.
But let's be clear: the death threats were coming before gambling because players were getting death threats and threatening tweets and texts over fantasy football. You know what I mean? And we're talking about like weekly leagues that you're not playing for money, just people yelling at players because they lost them because they didn't win fantasy football for them. So maybe the fans have been taking this too far for a little bit too long, way before gambling was really involved. Gambling, it's important, but the problem is the person, in my opinion.
No, I don't disagree. I mean, yeah, but the person is also the reason that you get this money.
Yeah.
Right, like that the league is able to sign.
The league, you're they give you they're the So
with anything, you got some good apples, you got some bad apples. You got some guys that they're linked to their bank account and pay their debt faithfully and no problem. I bet I picked the wrong game, I picked the wrong parlay, and but you got some guys that like, man, I bet that he's supposed to get that. He missed that free throw that cost me. Those people are irrational, right?
I would, they're irrational. I mean, the way that I've always done is I don't sit down at the table if I'm playing with money I can't lose, because then it will be emotional, and then I will get upset if I lose money that I need to take care of myself. You know what I mean? You can't gamble away money that's important to you. That's just not That's just not smart at all. And I think if it's fun, if it's for fun, if you're gambling with your discretionary income, if this is your fun money and it doesn't hurt you, then you're losing it. That's fine. And I think in that instance, you're probably not making death threats because that's your going out money. That's your at the bar money. You just gambling it instead of drinking it up. But these people are clearly gambling money that they can't lose. Oh, well, yeah, Afton does bring up an excellent point. Most of it comes from internet culture, in my opinion, especially social media culture, because you're right, regardless of the money, people have, Rory, you described like this kind of like cultish, this was a few weeks ago, like this cultish, like, it's almost like they're entitled to, they feel entitled to, for you to win for them. Like, it's weird. I don't know.
I think it's access is the other thing too. It's the access. And I think social media allows that access to these big people, right? They have social media accounts and then you send them a DM or something. If we, back in the 1980s and 90s and 2000s, you didn't have access to these sports stars. You didn't. And so the only reason that Graham Gano is getting a death threat is because they're sending it to him via social media. And like what Captain says, it's the access. It's the access. And I feel as though, I hate to tell him this, but if you're an athlete and you can participate in sports, you shouldn't have a social media page. You shouldn't.
Or
you
shouldn't.
Make it so private. Make it so private no one can see it.
But some of those guys use those, and I can see a kicker doing this because they're kickers. But some of those guys use those as avenues for more revenue. They use their social media to promote their podcast. I mean, Micah Parsons does that. These guys are making additional money while they're playing. And it's one of those things where, to me, I feel bad for Graham Gano getting death threats. I really do, because it's not something he can't control that. He doesn't have anything to do with the NFL having a deal with DraftKings. He can't control that at all. He's a player. So to not participate in that, he has to retire and not play football, right? But at the same time, if you choose to stay at this point, because like I said, this is not the death threat thing is not new. People were doing that over fantasy football, and they probably still are. So, like, if you choose to stay after you know how your audience acts, it's kind of on you to just be able to accept that or cope with it or find a way to, just move past it. I think at this point he has a very clear opportunity to just retire if he didn't want to deal with it.
Well, it's not just happening to old kickers; it happens to other guys too. You could be early in your career, a rookie, and you mess up, they gonna come at you too, and you got a whole career ahead of you.
Can I interject real quick? There was a long form article from the Atlantic, like back in February, about that same thing. It was like, let me see.
Okay, real quick, Rory. We were talking about this, and I'm gonna read this from the internet here, and then hopefully you know a little more about it. I thought that ESPN Bet was shutting down, but it's not. What's going on is ESPN is not shutting down, but is facing significant business challenges, including a high-profile contract dispute with YouTube TV that has resulted in a temporary blackout of its channels for many users. Additionally, its sports betting venture ESPN Bet is also failing to meet its goals and will be so. ESPN Bet will be shut down because, I guess like you said, competition, right? They're not doing good enough in the sports betting market, as far as like people. DraftKings seem to be doing well. FanDuel seems to be doing well.
Prize Picks.
In addition to them shutting down ESPN Bet, isn't an existing partnership with one of those gambling houses ending like prematurely? Isn't like a 2 or 3 billion? Yeah.
Oh, let me just finish then. Is ESPN Bet is also failing to meet its goals and will be shut down, leading to its termination after a less than successful partnership with Penn Entertainment. These issues are compounded by a general decline in cable subscribers and increased competition from streaming services. So it's an overall ESPN business model with what they're doing, cable TV most of the time for them, and that's kind of getting antiquated. and it's talking about so that they're losing, and because ESPN, the macro, the company is losing, ESPN Bet can't really keep up with some of these other betting houses and betting things like that. Rory, what do you know about any of that? Go ahead.
I mean, I think there are big competitions that even the regular networks do the same thing. You have, what's his name? I forgot his name on Fox, where he comes out and says, "Hey, this is the pick for this week." You know what I mean? So I think they get
is that Jay Glazer?
Yeah, Jay Glazer is what I'm talking about. Yeah, so like, people like Jay Glazer who come out and give you who's hurt, who's not hurt, who's gonna potentially get 50 yards, who's gonna get. I think people just like ESPN is like, you can't have a whole channel devoted to that when you have other people just nipping on that stuff.
I think an interesting thing to talk about with ESPN is kind of their inability to innovate. And what strikes me as odd there is they did not used to be a company that was afraid of innovation. They were really versatile. They were like the MTV of sports. You remember they were one of the first channels.
MTV shut down.
Yeah, well, yeah, but I mean, I'm just saying, like back when MTV used to just give people money to just do shows. ESPN was one of the first networks that was streaming sports. ESPN 360 used to stream college football games for free every Saturday, and that was unheard of. And it was kind of a thing that they were criticized for because no one understood how they would make money. Whoever was running them at the time understood that if you build an audience online, you can kind of keep them forever. And somewhere along the way, they got lost. And like Kevin said, a lot of the reason that they're in trouble is because they bolted themselves down to cable, and that's not where the audience went. The audience went online. You have to be versatile. You have to keep your old audience, but you got to move with the young audience too. And now I think ESPN is really in trouble, especially with this thing with Disney, where because Monday night, because of that blackout, I believe the estimate is like 20% of the audience wasn't there. So the NFL loses a huge amount of money just from them blacking out YouTube. That's not the majority of the audience, but 20% is a huge amount. And that's just the Disney Plus and YouTube people. So I don't know how they recover it. I feel like people get their sports from other places. The younger generation is fine with not watching the whole game. They're fine with consuming sports as highlights and clips. They're fine with watching stuff on TikTok. So I don't know. I think it's fatal for ESPN.
Wow. Is there change it? Can they change? Or do you think they'll just become extinct? It's like, is there a market for cable sports? I mean, some of these as long as there's like the Super Bowl, the World Series, and all that stuff is on cable, then I think the young people you mentioned will get their highlights and stuff to the game. But you still got other people. I'm not gonna say older people. You got other people that are fans of the game, like to watch the game.
I am one of those fans, but I think the problem is I'm not who you should be trying to grab as your audience to keep and continue watching. You already have me. So like, yeah, right. I might turn on the TV and watch ESPN, and I might watch SportsCenter still because it's routine for me. But I don't think my brother's ever gonna watch SportsCenter. If he consumes a sports clip,
how much younger is your brother than you?
My brother, I'm 39. My brother is 23. It's the 16-year gaps, and that's the generation that the NFL wants to grab, and that these sports people are trying to grab. That's who ESPN should be trying to point all of their efforts to, but it feels like they were right there and they got scared. They lost some of the older audience because they started focusing more on international stuff like soccer, stuff like that. They lost some of us, and they hit the brakes and said, "Nah, let's cater to the guys we already had."
Did you say us like you're older in that us?
I mean, like us, like I feel like we're all in the same generation.
Yeah,
we're not.
No.
We're not.
Okay,
we are. We are
right.
Maybe not.
Yeah, that way, right?
Okay, but yeah, no. I mean, pivoting back to me is not a smart idea if your audience is shrinking. You know what I mean? That doesn't make any sense.
Another good comment from Afton. Go ahead and read it, Roy, would you please?
I get annoyed. AF. By cable sports shows. I watch KnoItAllz SEN, and a couple other YT channels.
Wow. Thanks for watching the KnoItAllz and making mention of us. First, no less.
I think
and for you guys, SEN is still Curtain Network. She's a huge Steeler fan, obviously.
But I think Afton brings up a really good point, and that's that if you look at cable sports shows, they all kind of look and sound the same. They're kind of like these rage factories. So like you say a thing to get a certain group of people upset, so they'll watch the segment and be mad at you, and then you move on to the next group of people. So you have Stephen A. Smith come on and say a bunch of stuff about the Cowboys, so Cowboys fans will watch for that whole segment. Right. And then you have somebody else come on and talk about how bad the Jets are. And then the Jets fans will sit there because they're in agreement. But it's not really talking about sports. It's just trying to grab an audience. And when you look at this, when you look at guys like y'all and you look at smaller places and places where maybe their only avenue is a podcast, people are actually still talking about sports because like ESPN used to do.
I think because when you're smaller, you're more niche, right?
Yeah.
Like you have a segment, like we talk a lot about the Steelers. A lot. We talk about other stuff, but excuse me. So a lot of our audiences are also Steeler fans, you know. We do podcasts on Steel Curtain Network, and a lot of the audience we get with the KnoItAllz come from the Steelers. Now, do we expand? Do we talk about different things? And you see a lot of our best, most watched shows are about the Steelers. We do stuff about basketball. Mod is a Cowboy fan. He'll do stuff about Cowboys, but you know, it's that niche group of Steeler people that really are our foundation and support. So, yeah, maybe ESPN is spreading themselves too thin, like too broad.
I think that is exactly the case. And as a Cowboys fan, you may think I'm crazy saying this, but the Cowboys are part of the problem. If you look at I would be if I'm not a Cowboys fan, I would be annoyed watching SportsCenter because the Cowboys are on there all the time and we're not good. So it's like why you're talking about us so you can get me to watch. You know, we're not actually relevant.
You sell. You're the biggest
we're
sports franchise. I mean, it's always you got Jerry Jones and all, but the Cowboys have always been that thing. I feel like it's the Cowboys and the Lakers. People, the Yankees too, as far as each individual major sports league in the United States.
Yeah.
You have those teams. I mean, you know, but I feel like baseball is just like I watch baseball. I watch Cincinnati Reds all the time. I'm a huge fan. I don't watch other baseball games until the playoffs. This last World Series, this playoff run, the Dodgers and the Toronto, great World Series.
Oh yeah, fantastic.
You know what I mean? But I don't always watch baseball, but I always keep up with my teams, you know? But yeah, I mean, so, and I actually, Roy, I don't know about you. We're older. I'm still a cable guy. Pay for my cable, right? Got all the I watch ESPN sometimes. I watch Fox Sports now. Fox Sports 1 to me is better than Fox Sports. I watch, some people don't. I don't mind. I like Colin Cowherd kind of, right? So I can listen to him. But so I have ESPN, but then now it's transitioning, right? To watch the NBA, it used to be on TNT. ESPN has a game or two a week. I don't know. I forgot what night they have because it's new this year. I got to get back accustomed to the rotation. But ESPN has a game. NBC has a game. They play a doubleheader, I believe, on Tuesday nights. NBC. The first game is on regular NBC. The second game is on Peacock. So if you want to watch it, the second game you watch NBA doubleheader,
you have to have Peacock.
Right. And Amazon has NBA games now, and they got Thursday Night Football. We just watched that the other night with the terrible game too, the Raiders and the Broncos.
Yeah.
But if you're a football fan, you watch. I have Amazon.
Amazon is a good example of doing it right to me too. Amazon has that game, and they literally put it on every single platform that they have. You can watch that game on a browser on Amazon Prime. You can watch it on a Fire Stick, and you don't have to be. All you have to do is log into an account and pull it up. You can watch it on Twitch, which is them trying to reach that younger audience. Here's the stream, and they simulcast on Twitch. They do the actual broadcast, so their broadcast, and then they have like fans and stuff. Do they have like? Sometimes they have a broadcast that's just the field sounds, which I always liked that ESPN used to do with the college games. I used to think that was really cool. They do that. but they're trying to cast a wide net and get a lot of people into football, which is what you have to do if you pay billions of dollars for that. You have to try to grab people. That's where I think ESPN is failing. They're not trying anymore. They expect the audience to come to them.
Well, I think they do have they have the lore. They have the lore, and the lore is they got college sports, and they do a great job of broadcasting college sports. And that's going to be a gimme. They've always had it. They're going to keep it. No one else does it. I mean, there are the smaller networks, but they have it all. I mean, they have all the
and who are you referring to, Roy?
I'm talking about ESPN. They have the college sports. Yeah. They have college sports. They
do college sports best.
One thing I got to add, Kev, your boy from your Steeler days, Merrill Hodge, had a little bit of commentary to say about ESPN. He was slamming ESPN. Basically,
he got fired. He's disgruntled former employee. But go ahead.
But he said that all they do is argue and debate at this point, and he says
I don't disagree.
Yeah, and he says that, and that kind of goes with what other people are saying too, and in the comments, that we have, if ESPN only has people like the Mad Dog and other people just yelling and screaming all day long, people who've never played the sport, people who have no experience in the sport, well, people can get that from online streaming, and that's the competition, and that's what ESPN's not realizing.
I think that's what they did when they signed McAfee to a deal.
They tried to grab that online, like that space, and just put it on cable. The problem is you can't expect people to pay for cable to come watch you. If you just stream that, then maybe it might work. And I think it shows, how do their YouTube clips have more views than their actual live streams? You know what I mean? That makes no, like, their live network show.
Time. You young folks don't
2 hours
invest time. Yeah.
So I don't mind, because when I was 19, I used to put SportsCenter on and watch it all day long. They were saying the same stuff, but I would still, every 5 minutes, if I had a moment, I'd turn back and be like, oh, that's cool. I didn't see that last hour. I'm like, that's why I said, I'm like, y'all, I don't mind. I like watching this stuff. I don't like watching the guys argue, because, like Rory said, I can do that with my friends. I want to do that with my friends. I don't need to watch them, or I don't need to do that. I don't need to watch it. Some people like it.
I think that's getting old. There was a time, and Skip Bayless and Stephen A. Smith made that really hot. I think Stephen A. is going to start to lose people. Because he's in too much. He's beefs with everybody, man.
And he's getting too political.
Not even on the show. And too political is definitely a good point.
But he's exactly what they want. He's a divisive figure, and people will watch even if they. Right. I know some of the stuff that he says, and I don't watch it. You know what I'm saying? That means it's working. If you can grab my attention and I don't care about that person and I don't watch your show, that is effective. Just pissing people off works.
But you watch until you don't, though.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, Skip Bayless is gone. He's just doing the pot. Skip Bayless was huge at ESPN at one time, and then got left ESPN to go to Fox Sports Network. I thought a few years ago, up until all this scandal with Fox Sports 1, Emmanuel Acho was really good. He was such an arguer, but he was so articulate and stated his points. But to close this up, and we'll get into the mental health aspect of the show, and I'll let you lead that, Stephen. I'll just say, Rory, that's what I was going to say to you. And I think Brent Howell makes a great point. Streaming is going to hurt the NBA. The NBA ratings are already going down.
Yep.
And we could count on ESPN and TNT all the time. Now, hell, I'm an NBA watcher. Last night, my team is the Cleveland Cavaliers, right? Anybody knows me knows that. They played here in DC last night. So the game was on local DC, sports channel, right? Could watch it. I'm so used to going to the streaming service, piracy, I'll admit, but because I'm used to
sell them high seas sometimes, man.
You gotta sell it.
Put me in the mix with this stuff. You know what I'm saying? Keep me out.
I didn't say what or who.
I'm good. You don't need to announce it. Just say you watch it. Watch it by other means. Other means.
Okay, yeah, other means. You're right, Rory.
Thank you.
Like putting myself out there.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But I'm so used to going there because when you have even the Cincinnati Reds game, you know what I mean? Pittsburgh Steeler games, if they're not, a lot of times they've been on national TV this year. But like tomorrow night they have a night game. But even I got stuff so I can keep up with the sports teams and franchises I like. You know what I mean? So I think, but I keep my cable though, because who knows when that stream is gonna go out and I don't have nothing to watch.
Nothing.
I do want to cap this off too by saying we did dog a lot of ESPN, but I do want to, now that they have them, I want to give a shout out to the Inside guys because I think they are still fantastic. I think they have great takes on the NBA and about
the
topical.
Inside guys are an ESPN show. I don't know this Inside guy.
I thought well they're now it's that's Shaq, Ernie, Charles and Chuck and
in Inside the NBA, yeah, of course.
Yeah, the Inside guys. I think that I'ma still call them the Inside guys because that's all.
Right, I didn't know what you're talking about though, but I get it now.
It was Inside the NBA when I was a little kid. So, but they still, to me, they haven't changed. They didn't change around their format. They're not just arguing. They still have great. All of the guys have great takes on what's going on in the league and in society in general. So, shout out to them. Hopefully, it stays the same.
And that's why it's a multiple. I don't know the amount, but I bet it's 12-time Emmy winner. Yeah. And ESPN was smart to purchase that from TNT. They didn't even purchase it; they're leasing the guys. Yeah, that's how good that show is. We want to. Will you TNT? Can we lease these guys to do our NBA coverage?
Yeah, like I said. So definitely shout out to that show. It's still, to me, it's still great, and I hope it keeps going for as long as they all want to do it.
And I still do That's Rather Cavalier. I couldn't keep a team together of Cavalier podcasters with me. So, and I'm going to ramp up a little bit, but it's all on audio. And typically Monday night we do a Central Division show that's the one where I get with Pay and Chicago guys and the Detroit guys, and we talk basketball. And then I'll cut the part out of it, or sometimes I don't even cut. I just upload the whole thing on the That's Rather Cavalier, and that's the episode. But yeah, as the season goes on, we'll try and get that ramped up over there. But it'll just probably be just audio. Might be some videos we do live and stuff like that. But yeah, thanks for asking. 21 Emmys. You remember I said somebody was really intelligent? Look, she's backstage just fact checking and coming up with answers to everything. 21 Emmys. So
21 Emmys, yeah. So
smart. Yeah. But you know what? And I want to get off this, but it's just so much space to talk about. Like, I mean, like when you're on TV, you have to be a certain way, right? You have to be buttoned up, laced up. You can't talk like you want to talk all the time like that. Like I watch podcasts sometimes. Like I like Kevin Garnett and just how he talks. Like it's like real.
He's a real dude. Kevin Garnett is a real dude. He really is.
Right.
You know,
and I can appreciate it. Sometimes I like just watching that perspective of it. What'd you say?
I don't like Kevin Garnett.
You don't like Kevin Garnett, man?
He punched Wally in the face. I'm gonna hold that grudge to the day I die.
We could have hey, pause that. We could have an entire episode talking about Wale if we wanted to. Like
no. He's not talking about the rapper. He's talking about the basketball player Wally Zerbiak.
Oh, Wally, what?
And Wally Zerbiak was a teammate of Kevin Garnett who probably was messing up. No different than Mike Jordan punching Steve Kerr. No different than Draymond Green punching the kid that plays here now, whatever his name is.
Well, Rory, if you can accept that some guys aren't as polished as some others and they don't know how to express themselves, then that's how you have to approach that. Like Kevin Garnett is a genuine guy, but that means he's genuinely who he is. And I would say that he's not very polished. And I would admit, I could say that. If you look at the youth of his career, the expectations that he had, like he was never going to win a championship with Minnesota, and that probably ate him up. So, you know, guys getting in a fight on the basketball court, that happens. You know what I'm saying? That happens. I don't watch best friends like literally go to blows with each other over a pickup game. So it's like the emotion is there. I'm not going to judge over that one incident. Maybe if it happens regularly over and over again, you can say, "Hey, this guy's a jerk."
It's just that mentality that young people don't have so much anymore. And like Kevin, there's no Kevin Garnett's or Kobe Bryant's or Michael Jordan LeBron ain't finna smack nobody. And
he's not. He's just not that. Like you said, that's
wired
not a personality.
Like
that. They don't wire themselves like that anymore. It's a good and a bad thing.
And
LeBron does all of the stuff though. LeBron works hard like all of them.
Yeah, no.
I think some of the younger guys may not put in that same amount of work. You know what I mean?
He was a punk for punching Wally. That's all I'm gonna say.
All right.
It's okay with the conversation. I don't need to be, but I'm not gonna forgive him.
Well, I'm a huge
the franchise, of course, signing that jerk.
I'm a huge fan of those guys. Your Kevin Garnett's, your Steven Jackson's.
I like Gilbert Arenas, man. I know people think he's wild, but he's another guy who like
kind of clowny.
If you put Kevin Garnett and all those other the 2090s thugs into the
thugs,
because that's what he acted like. He acted like that. You saw him.
Kevin Garnett. When
he would bully smaller players. He would bully smaller players. Now I'm gonna put it out there, and lo and behold, if you put him back in the 80s, he would have been doing that nonsense. He would have been put in his place.
He would have been one of them. No, well, yeah, because those guys. Because those guys are old school, and yeah, if you can bully somebody, you can say it's not. And to me, it's not up to the guy bullying; it's up to the guy getting bullied.
Okay, Rory, the most dominant player in the league when Kevin Garnett was active was Shaq, and he was probably the worst. People were afraid of him; they thought he was going to break their arms and stuff when he went in the post. Like,
I'm just saying, Kevin Garnett bullied people who he could bully. I'm okay with that. That was his existence.
But he talked the way he talked to everybody, though.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And
he is who he is.
He is who he is, man. Like
it was levels to it. Like to me, a worse example. I mean, Wally Zerbiak 6'9". I mean, Kevin Garnett. He probably way more than Kevin Garnett. Whenever he hit him, Kevin Garnett's out of high school.
The worst example.
That's what Wally Zerbiak
is like Draymond, who is obviously just a bully to be a bully. He just picks on people.
I see him being way more selective than I did Kevin Garnett. Draymond Green,
yeah, absolutely.
Way more selective.
That's to me. That's who you're describing. And KG wasn't that, man. He was like you said. It was a different time in the league, and he just wanted to win.
Who's that? Who's that guy, Stephen? That they traded to the Wizards? Play for you guys now. From Golden State, he punched him in the face.
Oh, Jordan Poole. He doesn't play for us anymore. We traded him again. I can't remember who he traded him to. But
Jordan Poole. He punched Jordan Poole in the face. Jordan Poole, a young kid. Draymond Green, probably like 12 years older than him.
He got about 70, 80 pounds on him too.
yeah. So there's a difference. Roy, go ahead and read the comment from Afton for you. Then we'll let Stephen take over and talk about the minute.
Afton said, Rory, I know that feeling. I love Juju Smith-Schuster forever for that perfect block, which that was a nice block.
He was a
nice block.
It was so clean. Yeah. It was so clean, but he didn't.
It was a great block, but you know what? We're gonna get into that too because I think that's the same game that AB might have lost it because of the hit he got. That because of that hit. you know. So Brent Howe's comment. Steven, read it real quick, then we'll go to
ESPN and its platform delivery should focus on Gen X. They help build the network. So Brent, I understand and I see where you're coming from, but that actually is directly counter to what I was saying, is that them catering to an older generation is what put them in the position they're in now. They have no idea how to speak to the Zoomers and the later stage millennials, so their audience is continuing to shrink. They don't have a problem talking to Gen X or earlier, like older millennials. The problem is the same problem most entertainment avenues are having. They don't know how to speak to the Zoomers.
Yeah, no, there's definitely a disconnect because the communication styles are different. Shout out to the homie Big G, says the greatest NBA bully of all time. And Charles Oakley is I tried to play like Charles Oakley on the playgrounds at the Bradfield Center, Robb Park, Salvation Army. Like I was good I got picked up a lot of times, the fifth guy. I was solid on defense. I was a cerebral player. I could hit the elbow extended, face up jump shot. And I bodied, I banged, and I wasn't no punk. That was my basketball game. Not highly skilled, none of that stuff. Cerebral, didn't get bullied, and wasn't scared to give a foul.
Oakley was literally the definition of a bully, though. Oakley was bullying his own teammates and whoever was. Yeah, I mean, but Oakley was the dude that he was standing up for his people too. Like he was going to be the guy who go in the trenches in the game for you.
But you know what? Back then, those times, like hockey, just like hockey.
Is he banned from MSG right now? Is he banned too?
I think he got reinstated because the fans were mad at the owner.
Okay.
Yeah, because the fans, New Yorkers, they love that stuff. You know what I mean?
And they do love Oakley. Like that's really what it was.
Oakley.
They love Oakley, and the way it was handled, he could have like been like, hey, you can't come to no more games for the rest of the season. Then you reinstated. To try to ban him was a little bit crazy to me.
Yeah, it was overreach, but you know, even in government, we got people that overreach, so we won't even go there.
For sure, yeah.
But lastly, just like hockey, you got your goons. Back then, every NBA team had a goon or two, and the Knicks had Oakley, Anthony Mason. Yeah, I mean, Patrick Ewing was no.
He wasn't no goon. I mean, they shipped in Sprewell in the late '90s. They brought
even Harper. Even Harper was a goon. You know what I mean, to a certain extent.
Derek Harper at the point guard position. Yeah,
he was. He was a mean bastard, wasn't he? Like
and don't forget, Anthony was a smack talking goon too. But he could shoot a three though. He could shoot a three.
Oh, Greg Anthony.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then the homie Chris Childs. Two-piece Kobe, two-piece them. That was the Pat Riley Knicks, man. Come on, man.
Something different. Something different.
Dudes was rough. But Stephen, go ahead. Let's talk about the thoughts on mental health and sports.
Mental health and sports. If we start off with the NFL, I think really what we want to talk about is how the sport itself leads these guys into what they're into these situations and why the NFL seems to have a high number of suicidal players. The player that I wanted to start talking about was Dave Duerson. Like I said, he was a Chicago Bears safety, and he has probably the most famous story of when he was 50 in 2011, he committed suicide by shooting himself in the chest. And what makes this story famous is that he left a note for his family to have his brain examined. He knew something was wrong with him. He knew he was noticing that his behavior was different or that he was having cognitive something. He noticed something in himself. And when they did that, it was shown that he had, an advanced form of CTE at age 50. And that likely led to, the actions that he took at the end of his life. That almost directly mirrors what happened to Junior Seau. Junior Seau is probably a player that most people know about. He was an NFL. He was a Charger for a lot of years. After his career, he was an NFL analyst. He was around the game, and he
was a Patriot too. Won Super Bowls with the Patriots.
He's a Patriot as well. He was a guy who, a year after Dave Duerson committed suicide, also committed suicide by shooting himself in the chest. Now, he did not leave a note. Most of his family members did not recognize him as having suicidal ideations. So people didn't, it kind of came out of nowhere. His family had his brain tissue examined, and he also had CTE. The last one that I want to talk about before we talk about this as a topic is Aaron Hernandez. Probably, everybody knows who Aaron Hernandez is. He was convicted of murder, first-degree murder, and then acquitted of attempted murder later. But he was another one who committed suicide while in jail. Now, whether or not he committed suicide because of his mental state or because of things that he thought he could accomplish by committing suicide, he committed suicide and his family had his brain examined, and he also had CTE. Aaron Hernandez was 24 when he committed suicide. Can someone? I believe that's how old he was, and he was shown to have, again, at a young age as his, he was. Thank you, Brett Howe, for bringing up Lavier, but he was shown as having a advanced form of CTE.
Aaron Hernandez was 27.
He was 27. I'm sorry. So he had been in jail for a while, but yeah. So I think specifically with the NFL, if we're talking about like Marshawn Nealon, a guy who's 24, and Afton brings up a good point. Maybe the death threats don't help when you talk about the stresses of being a celebrity or a star NFL player. Marshawn Nealon's 24, and I'm sure that his family will likely have him examined. And I don't want to speculate about whether he had CTE or not, but I would like to tie that to Aaron Hernandez. Aaron Hernandez had CTE. Aaron Hernandez had concussions throughout his entire football playing career going back to high school. So I've said on here before that, I read that concussion report, and the way that it reads, it's not possible to avoid CTE if you play a contact sport. As a matter of fact, football wasn't actually marked as the most dangerous sport. It was lacrosse, because lacrosse has more incidental like collisions. You have more times where you bump into someone. There's less equipment, and you're more likely to go to the ground with no equipment on in lacrosse. And it's repeated like small collisions that actually lead to CTE, not the big ones. I think, with specifically talking about the NFL, I think we keep coming back to this, where it's like, this sport is really, really dangerous. Not only to your body, the danger of ligament injuries and stuff like that, but it doesn't seem like there's any safe way to play football. And it seems like maybe there needs to be some gateway to stop guys who may already have depression or mental health illness from going into the sport, because the sport seems to just exacerbate it. Whether it's the risk of the damage that you get to your brain from playing the sport, or the pressures of just being a celebrity. And Afton is kind of reinforcing exactly what I'm saying. There's a couple new papers out on CTE that are interesting. One says 99% of NFL brains examined show signs of CTE. One of the unfortunate things is there is no test for living people. You can't test a person that's alive for CTE. The way they confirm it is they examine they examine your brain matter after you're deceased. CTE is going to weaken football popularity if you play. And that's another thing. And we talked about this on another episode, is what happens when parents, after decades of parents not allowing their kids to play high school football, how does that affect the college sport? And it just
to that part, to me, just means more scrubs get in.
Right, but speaking more towards
football players,
towards mental health, what do you think about that, Kevin? Do you think it would be something that, like, if you had a cousin or somebody that's really talented, would you steer them towards something else, knowing what these dangers are? I mean, it's hard to say. It's hard to say the NFL should be stopping people with mental health from playing, because how in the world do you police that? How do you figure that out? But maybe there do need to be some guardrails or something. I don't know.
My personal thought is, I don't know what you can do to really police it. Far as the entry point, guys entering, no, you can't play. You kind of crazy already. You can't play. You know what I mean, because Aaron Hernandez, you mentioned him, he wasn't the best behaved young person.
He got in a lot of trouble on his way to the NFL, and there were a lot of opportunities for people to shut his career down completely, and they didn't, because he was football.
So real quick, what I think there's risk in life, no matter what you do. You know what I mean? You're a police officer, you're at risk. You're a fireman, you're at risk.
You're a teacher.
Yeah. With some of the students I know you've had in Baltimore, you're at risk. But no, man. So I think it's just a choice, right? It's a choice. I mean, you understand the risk going into it, and people choose to still play the game because of like what you can gain from it. You know what I mean? What you can gain from it. I bet a police officer that had the choice to be a police officer for 10 years and make the money that police officers make, or be a average NFL player and get 10 years in the NFL, they choose the other. They're both dangerous, and you run the risk of, so I get it. I'm not saying that it's okay. I mean, that happens, but I mean, stuff happens. I mean, the percentage has to be small, right? It could be a high rate, yet a small percentage at the same time.
Sure.
A high rate of athletes, of people getting CTE, because you look at it once they're going. Like you say, you can't open up a living brain and check it out. But also, there are a lot of football players if you checked everybody, it'd be a small percentage. When everybody passed away, anybody that ever had time playing football at any level, you know. So I just think it probably always happened. We just didn't know what it was. CTE wasn't studied. So I think it's just an individual choice of what you want to do. I understand parents holding kids out and stuff like that. That's a parental choice, but that kid may really want to play the game. I mean, the little league football, maybe hold kids out. Don't play contact football till you like get 12 and 13 before you even start that. I can see that being a way of, you know, closing the window a little bit. Like if you start playing when you're 6, 7 years old, pee-wee football like we did, and you play pee-wee every year, you play junior high, high school, college, pro, like you never get a break. So go ahead and just start later, and that window shrinks and you get a little stronger. Your mind, you're not taking hits early on. I don't know, man. It's a tough question, but you go ahead and ask Rory, I guess, whatever you want to do.
I mean, yeah, I think contact should be a little later for sure. You know, maybe flag football up into a certain age. I think Pee-wee should be doing flag football to begin with. I don't think they get much out of hitting. No, I don't get much out of seeing a 7-year-old get hit. I mean, I don't know why you'd want that. It should be flag football. But at the high school level, we have so many protocols now, especially for concussion. As a coach, we have to go through like 3 classes, and we have to get certified every 2 years. The athletes are pushed to wear halos during practice, and they refuse. I mean, they have the option to, like, we say, hey, here's halos. They have, we have the halos on. They can wear them during the games too. They choose not to. I mean, I don't know what the stigma is, against those halos, but I've seen people wear halos.
It looks stupid. I don't like to see it. I get it, but yeah, go ahead.
Well, I've seen it at the pros too, right? So you see,
that's what I'm saying. That's why
they look like the Great Kazoo. I think it looks cool. Actually. Yeah, I think it doesn't seem to stop him. It's one dude that played for the Packers that where he be balling. So
Romeo Dobbs.
He don't.
Yeah, but I think it's all about mitigating, the impact. I mean, the impact is the impact. I remember when I was a kid playing, football, soccer as a kid, and I used to be, a winger, so I used to come in for the headers. I remember it came a point where we had this kid who's, crossed the bowling so hard. If you had contact with your head, I could feel my brain. You know what I mean? So it came a point where I was ducking those crosses at one point. I was like, oh, I missed it, coach. I missed it because. I mean, I can feel the CTE. I can feel it.
You can feel it. You can feel it for me.
I can feel that impact. And I was like, nah, my brain is like, why are you doing this to me? So it's all about mitigating. It's about mitigating.
I actually agree with you guys. I think in the NFL, it's really hard, especially when we're talking about the players that we're talking about, because it's not guys that are coming in, displaying like really obvious mental health issues. I don't think the NFL has any type of preliminary mental health evaluation. Maybe individual teams have that type of stuff. But if we can tie it into something else, like 2 specific NBA players that I want to talk about that both have the same mental health struggles. One is Delonte West. If you guys are familiar with Delonte's point guard. He's from DC. He played in the league for a really long time and has had some real bad struggles after his career. He was homeless for a little while, and Delonte actually was arrested 5 days ago. He was intoxicated. He was unconscious. He had to be given Narcan. He was arrested. It was arrest like, well-being. If the police come up on you and you're unconscious, they arrest you until they can get you back up. But he's had a really rough time, and a lot of that has to do with the fact that he is diagnosed bipolar. He has said in the past that he did not believe that diagnosis, which kind of, leads to a lot of it kind of explains some of the behavior he has, especially the drug use. But if we compare like to Ron Artest, who had a really long career as an NBA champion, he also, after his playing career, came out and said, hey, I'm bipolar. And when you talk about
he didn't have to come out and say that. We knew that.
Well, we knew he had something, but him confirming that he's bipolar, with Ron Artest, his behavior in the league was wild, to say the least. He was a part of the malice, and the malice, I don't necessarily think that he was wrong entirely in how he reacted. I think I wouldn't have done that, but I mean, you know, but his behavior throughout his time in the league, he was like,
dude, is that Ron Artest's fault, or is that the fans' fault that threw the beer?
Fan that threw the beer was at fault for that, for sure. The fan overstepped. You don't have any entitlement to put your hands or anything on these people by buying
that was I can tell you when that was. That was November 19th, 2004. If you want to look up the Mouse in the Palace. Now I saw the Netflix documentary, but I remember where I was at.
Yeah, and I believe Tate, because I know Tate knows his basketball for sure. His NFL and his basketball he knows, especially the Steelers. But if you look at the way Ron Artest acted, there were signs that he had some stuff going on, that he might need some help, you know. And if you talk about Delonte West's history, he was actively telling people that he was not gonna, you know, believe his diagnosis and go along with the treatments that they wanted for him. Like, are we saying that in those instances, does the NBA at that point bear some responsibility for not doing anything? You know what I mean? When these guys are showing signs, when Ron Artest is getting in fights and getting ejected 6 games in a row, and it's wild behavior, are they just ignoring it because they need him to be good on the Lakers? Or, you know,
that to me, that's no different than like we talked with Rory about kids getting passed through and can't be able to read in their grades and stuff. Like, oh, he can play basketball, pushing through. Go ahead, Rory. Like, you had something to say.
I was thinking, well, Ashton said something. You know, I mean,
which comment?
I think the final one. He says, I think.
What's her comment? Oh, here it goes. Okay.
I think mental health issues get overlooked in pro athletes because we half expect eccentricity, and we do. I think about we all know that Rodman has something going on, right? But we ignore.
He had something going on.
We ignore
it. And Rodman was a huge part. So what are the commonalities here? Rodman was part of championship teams. Ron Artest was part of championship teams. Yeah. Do you guys remember? You might
remember Doolin from the Celtics.
Who?
He had to leave.
Who?
Keon Doolin. You remember him?
Oh yeah, but he wasn't good though.
He wasn't good. He wasn't good.
He was seeing things.
Right.
Max, Vernon Maxwell,
Vernon Maxwell,
part of Hakeem Olajuwon Houston Rockets championship team. You know why he got nicknamed Mad Max? Because he was crazy.
Crazy. I think Olajuwon beat him up backstage too. And during halftime, I think Olajuwon gave him a little whooping one time.
Olajuwon smacked him with he'll tell you. He said, man, King took them big Nigerian hands. and he said what King said to him in that accent and just smacked me. He's like, I didn't know what to do. He wasn't that crazy.
Yeah, the slap woke him up. It was like, uh-oh,
right.
I have made a mistake. No, I think you got, but I think it's interesting. We're all saying the same thing. These guys, if there was like a minimal amount, and I'm not saying you just say, okay, if a guy has mental health issues, he's not allowed to play. I'm saying if a guy gets diagnosed with bipolar coming into the league, by the league, he's probably going to have a lot better time managing that if the league provides those resources and helps them deal with that. You know, right now, the way it's set up, they just have to figure it out on their own. It's like, hey, they're millionaires, they'll figure it out. But we keep forgetting that when they come in the league, they're still kind of kids. Like at 18, 19, I don't care what the law says, man. You haven't had enough experience to make well-informed, wise decisions about your own life. You just haven't. You know? So I think it's another thing we talk about. Hey, these leagues make a ton of money. They're literally billion-dollar organizations. They can afford this. You know what I mean? It's literally, it won't cost them that much more to say, hey, all the teams, you guys got to work out something. Mental evaluations for your guys coming in so we can get out ahead of this, so that we don't have guys showing up strung out on drugs and they're looking homeless 1 year removed from the league. That makes us look bad. You know what I mean?
I think every team in the every organization, NHL, NBA, NFL, they need to institute the Tomlin method. You know what I mean, to manage those players.
And
whatever Tomlin does, whatever Tomlin has been doing to manage those personalities, mental health issues, every team needs to institute it, because you don't have those things coming out of the Steeler franchise.
I am so glad you brought that up, Rory.
So I think
that's where I wanted to come back.
Whatever Tomlin does, whatever thing he's put in play needs to be, put pushed out to everybody else. But I think Tomlin's holding on to that. You know, he's like, this is my treasure. This is my treasure. Whatever he does, that's his treasure.
So I specifically want to get Kevin's opinion for sure about AB, Antonio Brown, and the Tomlin and Steeler effect. Because if we're going back to the NFL, we talk about a guy who may have been displaying these symptoms in the background. Us as fans never saw it. I mean, it's obvious there's a couple of junctures in AB's career. One of them is leaving the Steelers for sure, but the other is that hit he took from Buford. I remember distinctly his behavior changing dramatically after he got knocked out. And that was that game that Afton's talking about. And I kind of want to hear Kevin's opinion just about, do you think that the Tomlin effect helped him, or is it Tomlin has a great system for concealing that type of behavior? What do you think, Kevin?
I think it's both and, right? I mean, I think you know, you keep locker room stuff in the locker room. That's like Mike Tomlin does to, if a local beat reporter or somebody called still to ask a question about something in the locker room, he won't discuss it with you. So there's that element of it. But I also think he has such a rapport with his players, and they have a certain amount of respect for him that they listen to him. Like, you hear stories about Tomlin has said, and AB has confirmed that, you know, like he would say, man, you know, AB was a single father. He took custody of his kid when he was playing football for the Steelers, young, you know, and he wanted to do something with his little son. I guess it's Antonio Jr., little AB. And, you know, it was Easter. Mike Tomlin said, well, Coach, what should I do for my son? He said, man, go buy that boy a suit, go to church, then come to my house afterwards. We have family dinner and an Easter egg hunt. Like, you know, you kind of are inclusive, and you listen to, you're not just a football player to me. You know what I mean? When you have a genuine rapport and caring for your players, and an open door, right? Like, he might not take that interest in everybody, but it's available to everybody, right?
Right.
Like, if TJ Watt was having problems, oh, TJ, you come talk to Mike Tomlin, then it would probably be the same thing. You know what I mean? For all his players.
He's not gonna. And I think I'm catching what you're saying. He does have a talent in identifying the guys that need that. And I think another coach that was really good and is actually still good at it was Tony Dungy. Tony Dungy was a guy who could identify a guy who needed mentoring.
Who did Mike Tomlin come up under?
Under Tony Dungy. So it all rates. But I think you're right. I think it is a little bit of both. Rory, do you want to add something?
No, I agree. I think it's the whatever he does, wherever he, you know, if he has sports psychologists, you know, whatever it is, whatever he has under his mix, you know, people who
the Steelers are too cheap for that. But go ahead.
You don't know. That's what I'm saying. Like, this might be under. This is his treasure coffer, and you don't know what Tomlin has. I'm just saying he does a great job of managing those things, and you've never heard those things come out of the Steeler franchise while he's been there, and I give him credit for that. But when those same players we talk about leave the Steelers franchise, all of a sudden it's like boom, 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 boom. Where did this come from? So that means something to me. That means something to me.
AB left the Steelers and it was over. He was completely uncontrollable. No team he went to. He was on the Patriots, a team that's like, you know, he was on there for 2 weeks. He couldn't. The Patriots couldn't control him. The team that's known for being the monolith of no individuality. Where a team, he couldn't do that for 2 weeks. He couldn't be on any team after he left the Steelers. And then it became clear, okay, AB has some undiagnosed stuff going on, because then we start hearing the stories about wild stuff he's done at doctor's offices, things he's done to his exes and stuff like that. And it's like,
well, they're about to extradite him from Dubai. He was on the run for attempted murder charge down in Florida. He's on the way back to the States. He may have got here already, but this just happened this week too.
Right. And so again,
he says it was self-defense though.
I think in Tomlin's instance, when we talk about the league, when I say the league trying to help a player, Tomlin is doing that. Tomlin was doing that. He's not a professional. He's not a mental health professional, but he's not a doctor, but he's still trying to give this guy, you know, some foundation and keep him steady. And what I'm saying is, you can't just count on Tomlin's and Dungy's being, there's like one Mike Tomlin in the whole league. You know what I mean? You have to say, okay, these guys are our product, and they're making us a lot of money. Maybe we should consider caring about them after they make us all that money. You know what I mean? Maybe we should care about how they can carry themselves and survive after they're not athletes and superstars anymore. Maybe we need to help them with carrying the burden of being a celebrity.
Do you think that, well, they like for rookies, the NFL has symposiums after the draft where you come in, you learn how to manage your money, you learn how to conduct yourself. Well, they can't really teach you that like overnight or over a week, but they do provide that. But do you think there's anything to like maybe like each team having like a licensed team of therapists and that individuals can go to, or have like team group counseling sessions?
Now, I don't know if they already. I wouldn't be surprised if teams already have that. What I'm saying is, I don't think there's anything from the league that makes any of that stuff mandatory. And I think that we're at a juncture where it's clear that that's mandatory, that mental health needs to be a priority, especially when you know that the sport that these guys are playing is going to break down their cognitive abilities. You know,
it's a high stress job.
It's a really high stress job. That's it. I mean, every day you go out and you go do this thing, and there's the risk of I might get hurt and never be able to play ever again. That's the definition of high stress. So I think the league can do something to help these guys out, especially when they don't want to do guaranteed contracts and stuff like that. Like if you're not paying insurance, then you have the money. You can do this. It wouldn't cost that much, in my opinion. It just can't. That stuff should be going ongoing the first 2-3 years at least. I agree 100%, Afton. That's no criticisms or anything. I just think you're right 100%. It should just be a thing for incoming NFL players and NBA players. Maybe you just do it for their whole rookie contract.
Professional sports franchises, period, across all sports.
Yes, for sure.
Across all sports. It needs to be accessible and available.
And a lot of English football teams are doing that right now. Like they have sports psychologists on staff, and you find things out you shouldn't have found out. You know what I mean? Or you find out things that you should have found out. And I remember I don't know if you guys know that there's a player, his name is Dele Alli, probably like one of the most superlative players in the last 20, 30 years who's English. And he just had a downfall. He was he was the only player. He was on the trajectory of like stardom. And all of a sudden he hit a point and he went straight down. Next thing you knew, he was ending up in Turkey playing in the Turkish league. And then they kicked him out too. And I was like, what happened to Dele Alli? What happened to him? And then lo and behold, it comes out he had a very traumatic childhood. His mother's an alcoholic. He's sexually abused by his mother's living boyfriend. His dad said he was in Nigeria he went through so much at such a young age, and nothing was diagnosed. He was just like playing football, with this talent.
And all those things can be a catalyst and a trigger to self-destructive behaviors that you're not even aware are within you. You know what I mean?
Sorry, we have a guest joining us here. Yeah, sorry.
I did see that.
Who was that? Your cat?
Yeah, that was Simba joining us for a brief moment.
All right, well, let's go ahead and wrap it up, Stephen. Go ahead, your final thoughts, man. Take us out.
All right, so final thoughts. I think we had a very good conversation about this. I think what we talked about I think Tate, Rory, you guys made really good points about guys having to accept what they're taking when they take that job as an NFL player or as a professional athlete. There is personal responsibility in there, and I think ultimately, if we train guys to do that, then you'll get to a point where you won't have to, because they're going to teach their kids this, and then you don't need you don't have to have it be mandatory, because the kids will just seek this out on their own. And I think that's where we really need to get. I think in general, as a society, we've made leaps and bounds in terms of the stigma attached to mental health. And I think where we're at now, we just need to go a step further. We need to say, okay, as a society, we need to help everybody, And the one way you do that is when the professional sports league says, hey, we're going to do this for all our players, then maybe it trickles down at the state level. They say, okay, all the state employees going to have required, mental health and therapy. And I don't think that would hurt society. You know what I mean? I don't think people knowing a little bit better about themselves or people having these
Well,
resources.
I won't say the name of the company, but the company we worked for together, Stephen, what did it stand for? I mean, I never thought about using it, but remember EAP?
Okay, so here's the wild thing. I actually used it and I still don't know what it stands for. But yeah, basically it's like rapid mental health response. I'm not ashamed of this, so I'll just say it. I called after my grandfather passed away. I had a really hard time dealing with that. And I called, and basically I was able to talk to a therapist for a couple of sessions really, really quickly. And they allow you to, what it did was allow me to kind of like make a bridge to longer term
employee assistance program.
Right. So it's for more than just mental health. It's for literally anything. You can go to them for anything.
Any problems you got?
Yeah, I went to them for mental health, and essentially what it did was they set up a bridge for me to start doing therapy. I had been doing therapy in the past, and this was just a way for me to kind of get back into it again. That's what I'm saying. I don't necessarily. That's what I was saying before. I don't necessarily think that the NFL probably has something like that. I just don't think it's mandatory, and there probably isn't a focus on it. And I think to really get young guys to do something, you kind of gotta force them. I mean, you know what I mean? Is you have to have somebody there to say, okay, it's time to eat your vegetables. And I think that's where we're at. We need to go ahead and say, all right, everybody eat your vegetables.
I agree. It doesn't have to be mandatory, but so what's not mandatory, you make it regular. It just becomes expectations because it's all you know. When you throw something in there like, oh, you guys got to do this, you got to do that. But if it's already established, not saying it's mandatory, it's established. This is just part of it. This is what everybody does. I think that way you get more buy-in. It seems more normal. Not like you singling anybody out like, oh, you got issues. Everybody's going through it. It works different for each individual because you internalize it different. You know what I mean? Because your experiences are different.
Yep.
So that's what I feel like. Rory, from you, man, closing out, anything?
Yeah, I'm going to piggyback on that stuff. I think you have to train people at a young age. Like, for example, our head coach for the football team, he brings his – last week they have this, the bullhorn session, just to like talk about stuff. Last week he brought his aunt, who is a cancer survivor, in to talk to the kids, just to talk about struggles and things you have to go through in life. And if you just start early with those kind of things, it becomes a norm for people to say, hey, I need to express what I'm going through at this moment. So if you start in high school and in college, like Afton said, they need to have that just talk about things, whether it be NIL money, whether it be about people coming at you for more money, whether it be people, sliding into your DMs, just people saying, hey, you cost me some money, I'm going to kill you, that kind of, all the things that can lead to stresses that cause problems for people, that needs to be done at a very early age. And so by the time they get to the pros, they know where to reach out to get assistance and help. But I mean, I also believe that you shouldn't be on social media if you are an athlete. And I get that you, like Stephen said, it's a revenue stream, but it's opening up that door, and that door is for people to come in. You know what I mean? Say, hey,
that's true.
That's well,
Right, I get, but until there's like a gate to stop people from getting to you. Like remember, like back in the day, Messenger, if you didn't know that person, it went to some trash box or something, and you did, and if you read, it's like I don't know, trash box. You have to go through the trash box. Oh, look, someone tried to get a hold of me. Until they start to put those kind of gates on social media, you shouldn't be on social media because people can get to you. If they get to you, that creates more stresses for you that you don't really need.
If you got 50 million followers, you giving way too much time. But in all honesty, though, those people that have that many followers, they're not looking at that stuff. The person aren't looking at that stuff.
Yeah, that's what I would say. I would say, right, to be honest, if you sit down with a therapist, that therapist is going to determine whether or not you should be on social media. They can determine from having a conversation with you whether or not you can carry a random stranger across the world criticizing you. Because honestly, you shouldn't. I want to close with this, and we can talk about this later if you want to, but the internet is not a real place, guys. It really is not. It's not a real place. So I don't care how bad this young generation wants to feel like there's intrinsic value on the things that you do online, but it's not a real place. I can't beat your ass for saying something online. I can't come to you if you're online. So it's not real. So as long as you understand that, You should not be affected by these people. That person death threatening you, that should be like a spam call. You should just delete that without reading it. You know what I mean? Like, that's really how I think it should be. And I don't have a problem. Again, I'm an advocate for the technology, though, so maybe I'm biased. I don't think that there's a problem with the technology. I think that people are using it wrong. You know what I mean? Like, that's where I'm coming from. So, yeah.
But yeah,
internet's not real.
And we'll talk about this later because we're out here. We're already an hour and 15 minutes into college football. About to go check that out. I do like that topic though, Stephen, because I think the internet isn't a real place to people that know it's not a real place. But when we talk about like Rory just said, teach them young. When people grow up with internet, social media, like their whole life, you said last week you grew up like you were young, but when the internet started, right?
Yeah.
Me and Rory been around since we use payphones. You might not never use the payphone, Stephen.
No. I have used a payphone. The first grocery store job I ever had, we had payphones in the vestibule. I remember when they came and took them out too. Actually, that was in 2003. We still had payphones at the grocery store.
Okay, well, yeah. I'm saying. But we grew up. We better have a quarter outside the corner store. You need to make a call. You had your beeper. You was running business. I won't say what kind of business, but you had your beeper. You get a call with a code in it. You go put the quarter in the payphone, make that call. Wasn't no talking on your cell phone, and like it was different way back when it was different. Yeah, so that part. But that's a great conversation to have. Just about maybe that's a conversation like talk about societal differences in the generation. And I'll let you spear that, Stephen. Matter of fact, that's something you can come up with something, and when you're ready to do it, we'll talk about
for
it.
sure. Yeah, let me do some of the legwork, and we can talk about it. Yeah,
fellas, this is our third or fourth show.
This is 4, right?
I feel like it's 4.
This is 4 because we did the no topic pilot, and now we've had 3 topics. So yeah.
Okay. Yeah. No. Great stuff, guys. I enjoy hanging out with you guys on Saturday morning. Next week will be a little earlier. Yeah, but not. So with that being said, until next week, for myself, for the homie Rory and Stephen, see you guys then. Peace out.
Let's go.
Mamba out.
Y'all come back now. Here